Well, it wasn't always a work of art, but make no mistake about it, that was a great win for this Missouri Tigers football program yesterday. Let's talk about the Tigers getting to 4-0, pick some nits, and talk about all the positives right now on Locked On Mizzou.
You are Locked On Mizzou, your daily podcast on the Missouri Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, all you true sons and daughters, I'm John Miller, your Mizzou mafioso and the central scrutinizer of Missouri Tigers football and basketball. And these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. And you know what? A win is a win for Missouri, especially against a really good program like Memphis. Listen, I get it, folks. They're not SEC. They're not even Power 5. But that is a team that is just about on Missouri's par here the last few seasons. Really better. Probably a better program if you really want to look at it. But I think this Missouri team is a little bit different. It seems like, well, last season we talked a lot about how, of course, Missouri was so close to having a big breakthrough season under Eli Drinkwitz. But bottom line, end of the day, another 6-6 regular season, 6-7 overall with a bowl loss. But second week in a row here, actually third week in a row, really. Let's include Middle Tennessee. The Tigers win another one-possession football game, and it wasn't luck either. If anything, the Tigers have a lot of stuff they can still clean up. If anything, going 0 for 7 on third down today, 3 for 20 in the last two ball games. Obviously, a lot that can be cleaned up there offensively. But you know what? Again, make no mistake about it. Everybody who said this was a trap game for Missouri could not have been more correct. Of course, this is a terrible spot to bet against Missouri or any team, any college football team traditionally, coming off an emotional victory like that. A game that, it wasn't Missouri's Super Bowl, but no doubt about it, Missouri had the Kansas State game circled all off season. I'm not going to deny that for 1 second. So to win like that, walk-off fashion, 61 yards, and now you're having to play a team that's about on your par in terms of, you just look at the advanced projections for this season so far, Memphis and Missouri aren't too far apart. So just a classic spot for a Memphis team that certainly had this ball game circled on its calendar. So the fact that Missouri got out of St. Louis with a relatively comfortable victory, yeah, it was a little bit more uncomfortable than we would have liked in the fourth quarter, I suppose, but it just never totally felt like Missouri was in danger of losing that ball game. I don't know. That's how it felt to me up in the upper deck of the Dome anyway. But you know what? I think we have to start with Brady Cook. Of course, the young man was limited in practice all week. He sure didn't look very limited in the ball game, did he? Now, obviously, Missouri did not use him like, I joked, using him like Cam Newton against Kansas State last week with all of those quarterback-designed run plays, just running power, through the gap, that kind of thing with old Brady Cook. So obviously that was not really a part of his game yesterday, though he did have a 17-yard rush at one point. I just think Brady Cook right now looks like a bit of a different guy the last couple games. And the best version I've seen of Brady Cook has been these last two ball games, to me. Just throwing with great anticipation and confidence. That's what I saw out of Brady Cook yesterday. Really impressed with how he played. Suddenly he's feeling pretty confident hitting those deep balls, especially on those deep posts down the middle of the field, whether it is to Luther Burden or occasionally lately Marquise Johnson hauls in another huge catch for a 76-yard touchdown, getting Missouri on the board early in that ball game. So not only is Luther Burden obviously just an absolute star at this point, I mean, my goodness, 10 for 177 for Burden. Just an unbelievable game for him. Apparently, he's just going to get over 100 yards every game. It sure seems like it. How are you going to stop him out of the slot? I really haven't seen a great answer for Burden yet. Honestly, I don't even know really what to say in terms of analysis with Burden at this point, other than, yeah, he's pretty freaking good at football. That's what I got for you. Now, speaking of those Missouri wide receivers, obviously it's not just Luther Burden, though. As I've been telling Missouri fans, I think we all realize Theo Weiss has been a great addition so far. I'm just telling you, when I go back and look at his film closely, I think he's actually even better than Missouri fans realize. So throw him in there. You've got Marquise Johnson as well. Those are now 3 legitimate deep threats, big ball guys down the field. So, hey, that's a reason why I think Brady Cook's confidence is increasing. I think his teammates are helping to increase his confidence greatly. Mookie Cooper seems to be coming on too. So just a lot to like about this Missouri offense yesterday. Although in the first half, certainly, the Missouri run game, I think, was pedestrian, to put it kindly. Now, fortunately, it seemed like in the fourth quarter, Missouri did start to wear down that Memphis front a little bit, impose its will. So ultimately, at the end of the day, Cody Schrader and Nathaniel Pete have nice lines. Cody has 14 carries for 123 yards, and Nate Pete with 15 for 65. So solid production there at the end of the day. But boy, the first half, it was just not very pretty. I will say that. And also my buddy Blake, who I was sitting next to at the game, one thing we were noticing, I'm not sure if this was pointed out on the broadcast or not, but time and time again, especially in the first half, it just seemed like Missouri just wanted to run to the short side of the field every single time. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm saying obviously you run to the short side of the field sometimes, maybe even, I don't know, half the time. Sure, I can get down with that, but it seemed like Missouri was running to the short side of the field 90% of the time in the first half, and in particular, when the Tigers ran a speed option with Cook to the short side of the field, well, that sideline in that particular instance is absolutely a 12th defender there for Memphis. So I don't know. Maybe Missouri changed that up a little bit better in the fourth quarter, and I didn't notice. It was just something I really noticed there when the run game was not working at first. Now, defensively, this is probably not the game that Blake Baker is going to lead with on his resume or anything like that, or any of the team in general. But you know what? Considering the circumstances, considering this is a really good Memphis offense, and considering Missouri was out, at least surprisingly to me, without Ennis Rakestraw for this entire ball game, I thought the Missouri defense did exactly what it needed to do for the most part. So you know what? Let's talk about that defense without Ennis Rakestraw and how they stepped up today in absolutely big fashion. And let's talk about, well, the Missouri injury report a little bit, which is starting to get a little bit longer than all of us would like, that's for sure. But you know what? First, of course, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, so you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. And with simple tools like screening questions, they make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And by DoorDash. And thank goodness for DoorDash, folks, because I got home late last night, about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was told to put out some sausage for breakfast this morning, get it out of the freezer. Well, guess who forgot? This guy. But guess who's going to help me? DoorDash. Yes, I need my groceries. I need my breakfast, of course, and you need it all. You forget, you mess up sometimes too. Well, guess who's going to save your butt? It's going to be DoorDash. And get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to $20 in value when you use the code LockedOnCollege at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20. No minimum subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Don't forget that's code LOCKEDONCollege for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. Thanks for making Locked On Mizzou your first listen every day. And you know what? Definitely check out every Friday Locked On College Football Kickoff Live on my YouTube channel or any other Locked On College YouTube channel from 10 a.m. to noon every Friday. Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. You can find it in my feed. But you know what? I really found the Missouri defense yesterday to be quite good under the circumstances. I really did, because as I've gone on and on all off season, I talked about how, to me, the secret sauce of the Missouri defense was clearly their corners, Chris Abrams-Drain and Ennis Rakestraw. But with Rakestraw out yesterday, well, that defense was really tested yesterday in a different way that they haven't been for a few seasons. And I thought they held up great for the most part. I really did, because you look at the numbers there. I was worried about Blake Watson running over Missouri's defense. Well, the running game bottled up that Memphis rushing attack quite well. Now, Blake Watson did, in the passing game, hurt Missouri for sure. And as I pointed out in the lead up to this ball game, Missouri has been burned a couple times for touchdowns even before yesterday on just pretty basic swing passes, dump-offs even, if you will, to the running back in the flat, missing the tackles and, frankly, just missing assignments a lot of times on those plays. Now, I'll have to go back and look at the all-22 to say that, but once again, the running game, passing game is really starting to hurt Missouri a little bit defensively, something they need to watch for sure. But it also seemed like second half, Memphis started to figure out, hey, maybe we should start throwing away from this guy named Chris Abrams-Drain. I thought he was as good as he usually is yesterday from my eyes, but Rock Taylor in the second half, he ends up with nearly 150 yards receiving for Memphis. You know, I thought they started to realize, hey, not only is Ennis Rakestraw out, Drayden Norwood seemed to me miss most of the second half as well. So Marcus Clark was getting picked on a little bit at times. And, you know, nothing against Marcus. You're the fourth string corner here. He's just not the player that Ennis Rakestraw is. He just simply is not. And it showed up yesterday. But hopefully Ennis is okay for next week or soon enough. I have yet to hear what the injury is for him. Maybe you all can help me out there down in the comment section. Now, again, obviously, just like the offense, the defense was far from perfect yesterday. There's still a lot that can be cleaned up. But at the same time, I just think you got to zoom out, take a big picture look at this whole thing, and once again, just be grateful for the victory. This is such an obvious game, an obvious trap game. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Just a really impressive win for a group that really seems like it's on a mission, that has good leadership in Brady Cook, of course, and Darius Robinson, who missed some time in this ball game as well. You know, I just like the mettle of this team. I'm actually, in some ways, I'm more impressed after Missouri beat Memphis. I'm not as thrilled as I was after the K-State game. That was technically a bigger win, but in some ways, to follow up on it, to not lose after that Kansas State game and to lose that momentum, which, again, human nature being what it is, would have been one of the most understandable things in the entire world. That's why I'm just so impressed with this whole group, the coaching staff, everybody. Give Eli Drinkwitz a lot of credit here. Listen, I've had my criticisms of Eli. It's an opinion-based show. You know, more often than not, I'm going to pick nits instead of going, hey, great job on this, that, or the other. Well, Drinkwitz deserves, I think, a ton of credit this week. I really do. He obviously kept his team focused for a very game Memphis ball club, a Missouri team that was a lot more banged up than it's been the first 3 weeks of the season, Brady Cook included. So really, really impressive stuff for Missouri, just in general. The defense, the offense, the special teams, the whole thing. And by the way, on special teams, that opening onside kick Ooh, that was ballsy, number one. And by the way, are we sure that a Missouri Tiger was offsides? Not by much, right? It seemed like somebody was a little bit offsides there, but if that weren't a successful onside kick recovery, I don't think they would have called it. But hey, it wasn't Harrison Mevis's fault, that's for sure. He perfectly executed that. It fell seemingly just perfectly 10 yards away right into his own arms. I mean, what an incredible play by Mevis that was taken away through no fault of his own. So two just incredible plays in a row, back-to-back by Harrison Mevis, by the way. Wins a game with a 61-yarder, and then it kicks maybe the greatest onside kick I've ever seen. I don't know how you could do it much better than that. Unfortunately, somebody was just a little bit offsides, apparently. By the way, I had a lot of people commenting and asking me about the St. Louis turf yesterday, if it looked as bad in person as it did on television. And indeed, yeah, that turf at the Dome was frankly scary. I honestly was having flashbacks to terrible injuries of Missouri's past, was actually thinking about MetLife Stadium in New Jersey where the Giants and the Jets play. There's famously been a lot of bad injuries on that field. I was just thinking, man, let's just get out of this game without any major serious injuries here. And so far, at least, we'll have to hear the full injury report here. I'm recording here at about 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, so I haven't done a full deep dive on the Missouri news. But at first, it appears to me not any major injuries coming out of this. I'm not sure what Brett Norfleet or Ennis Rakestraw's status is going to be next week, or Darius Robinson and Drayden Norwood, for that matter. But, Luther Burden missed some time in this ball game in the second half, but obviously he finished the game. He should be good to go for next week. Frankly, as a Missouri fan, I just feel pretty good that we escaped what is not an ideal playing surface, that's for sure, without any major injuries for the Tigers. Honestly, we should feel pretty lucky there, I would say. But speaking of feeling lucky, obviously the Tigers are probably feeling fortunate in some ways to come out of that ball game with a victory after going 0 for 7 on third down, blowing the fourth down and one opportunity that if the Tigers pick that up, they get points. They can go up 3 possessions and really put the ball game away. But of course, they get stuffed. It doesn't happen, and Memphis goes down and scores, cuts it to a 1-possession game. Well, that made it a lot closer than it needed to be. And at a certain point, you know what? If this continues, for as much as I've thrown praise on Eli Drinkwitz and Brady Cook today, well, that does come back to the coach and the quarterback at a certain point. So let's talk about Missouri's third down situations. But you know what? First, let's talk about FanDuel, because you got to snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, Heisman futures, the whole deal. So you got to visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season in style. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Now, from my experience, when it comes to third downs, well, you know what? Third downs are obviously incredibly important. Picking up third and fourth down conversions. Hey, if you don't pick them up, your drive dies. It's as simple as that, right? But at the same time, sort of like the red zone and sort of like turnovers, especially the smaller the sample size, well, there's a lot of noise there statistically. So in other words, just because Missouri the last couple ball games is 3 for 20 on third down, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a long-term problem. In fact, there's no way that the rest of the season that Missouri is going to convert at a 3 for 20 pace. That's just not going to happen. Statistically, that's unsustainable. It's not going to happen over the last 8 ball games. But at the same time, maybe there really is something to be said about those third down plays, because for as good as Brady Cook, in my opinion, has looked the last couple weeks, well, it's now becoming a little bit of a pattern that Missouri is getting most of its yardage on first and second down. So what does that mean? Well, at a certain point, it comes back to your head coach, your offensive coordinator. They need to get you in good plays in those situations, situationally, to pick up what is the most important snap of your drive more often than not. At a certain point, if you're going to score a touchdown, you're probably going to have to pick up a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 6, something like that, maybe 2 or 3 of them. So, and if you're Brady Cook, perhaps his being limited physically maybe affected Missouri a little bit there too, because his scrambling ability can be really helpful in those 3rd and down situations too. Of course, Kansas City Chiefs fans see it week after week after week where Patrick Mahomes on 3rd and 10 will, at the absolute perfect moment, will pick up a first down with his legs when the Chiefs need it and to keep a drive going. I think that was part of the problem yesterday for Missouri going 0 for 7, is that Cook, just didn't have his usual option of, hey, I'm just going to take off and use my wheels. But at the same time, still a little bit too early to make too much of it, but I think it's obviously something you got to monitor. If Missouri continues to struggle on 3rd downs next week against Vanderbilt, well, then I think it's more of a talking point. But hey, once again, I just want to emphasize what a great win this is for Missouri. Again, if last week was Missouri's Super Bowl, well, as I'm saying that sarcastically, folks, then this was Memphis's Super Bowl. Certainly Missouri had Kansas State circled on their calendar, and Memphis had Missouri circled on its calendar. So just a great win by a veteran ball club, a veteran-led ball club. I would say some really good leadership in that locker room to get this kind of win against a game Memphis ball club. And again, give Eli Drinkwitz a ton of credit too, because his team that was undermanned a lot for much of that ball game, at least, based on their own usual first string. Again, Norfleet out, Rakestraw out, Darius Robinson missed a ton of the game. Luther Burden missed about most of the 3rd quarter, I believe. So again, just a great win for Missouri. Congratulations to everybody in that locker room. I was certainly happy to see it. And you know what? I think my DoorDash is almost here, so I better go upstairs, make my wife happy, who's been watching the kids for the past 24 hours or so. Time to put on the dad hat. So, you know what? Until next time, I'll see you guys Monday right here on Locked On Mizzou.